For anyone who's looking at being an advocate for livable cities, know your why, have a support system, and stay consistent. Consistency is the most crucial part of advocacy. If you started today, you stop, and then you come back 3 months later, people will forget that you were doing something. So back when I took over, I made a decision that Critical Mass will be every last Saturday of every month, whether it's raining, whether it's sunny, whatever is happening out there. Critical Mass will happen every last Saturday of every month.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Active Towns channel. My name is John Simmerman, and that was Cyprine Odada Mitchell, the Executive Director, outgoing, of the Critical Mass in Nairobi, Kenya. We're going to be talking about the tenure that she has had there and hinting a little bit about the work that she'll be doing in the future. But before we do that, I just want to say, if you are enjoying this content here on the Active Towns channel, please consider supporting my efforts by becoming an Active Towns ambassador. Super easy to do. Just click on the Active Towns link down below, activetowns.org. Click on the support tab at the top of the page, and there's several different options, including becoming a Patreon supporter. Patrons do get early and ad-free access to all my video content. Okay, let's get right to it with Cyprine. Cyprine, thank you so much for joining me on the Active Towns podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
So I love giving my guests just an opportunity to say just a few words about themselves. So who the heck is Cyprine?
Well, Cyprine is a Jacqueline of many trades, but to summarize, I am an urban planner by profession. I am an active mobility advocate. I have been in advocacy for the past over a decade, and I love it. I love the work that we do, trying to get people back on the street, to showcase cities in a different light, and just to be a spokesperson. I love being a spokesperson for different road users.
Yeah. And why don't you share where you're located? Where are you from? Where are you joining us from?
I am based in Nairobi, Kenya. A lot of people don't know where Kenya is, but it is somewhere in the eastern part of Africa.
Yeah, fantastic. And I'm so excited to be speaking with you here today. You and I have mutual friends out in the advocacy world, many women who are doing some pretty awesome things out there. And I love the spirit that you have and the work that you're doing. And really just, it comes from the heart of wanting to create more people-oriented places.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for that compliment. Sometimes I beat my head on the wall. I hit my head on the wall trying to figure out if what we are doing actually makes sense. And then I meet someone whose life has changed because of the work that I've been doing, and it just gives me that reassurance that what we're doing, all this talk and fight and showing up even when no one wants to hear, makes sense when someone comes to you and tells you, my life is better because of the work that you're doing. So that makes me so happy.
Yeah, and over the past decade, nearly a decade, you've been, really advocating. You mentioned it in your introduction, advocating for active mobility, more people-oriented places, and safer streets, and that's manifested in this organization. So tell us about what you've been doing over the past 9 years there in Nairobi.
Thank you. So for the past 9, actually, I should be clocking 10 months in April, but I couldn't make the 10-year mark. Not 10 months, 10-year mark. So I've been the CEO of Critical Mass Nairobi. I took over the convening of Critical Mass back in 2015. And back then, we were just a handful of cyclists. I think the biggest number we had was around 10, 15 cyclists. And when I joined the group, unfortunately, it was dying. And I didn't want that to happen because I just moved to Nairobi. And I didn't know that many people. I was lonely. I wanted to exercise. I didn't have a job, so I was still hustling for work. And I found a community among the cyclists, and I didn't want to let that go. And so I asked the founder if I could just take it over. And so that's exactly what I did. I took over and I ran with it. I decided that I'm going to make everybody fall in love with cycling just as much as I had, because it gave me a sense of purpose and also a community that I really longed for. And also being an urban planner, it gave me a different lens. I was now looking at the city from a lens that I was never taught in school. In fact, the opposite happened. I started seeing all the mistakes urban planners were making. And so through the work that I was doing with Critical Mass, I was highlighting all the issues that vulnerable road users were facing, specifically pedestrians and cyclists. And I wanted to bring attention to that so urban planners could start fixing or correcting the mistakes our profession is responsible for. So for the past 10 years, we've managed to make cycling a household mobility pattern in Nairobi, and it has transcended to other cities in Kenya. And also, Addis has also started doing a lot of cycling advocacy, but also projects. So it's been a fantastic 10 years.
Yeah, yeah. And we see in this fun little, opportunity for a photo op here, some of the taglines. It's like cycling for better cities. And so it's really, connecting riding a bike, which, yes, can be a fun activity, but also connecting that to what you're talking about, which is that passion for, what cycling can do to help create better communities and better cities.
Absolutely. And if you can read the tagline, that's something that I started saying back in 2017. And it's slowly but surely we are transforming our city into a cycling city. And that's because nobody believed that we could do it. Everybody said it's impossible. All the doors we knocked on, nobody opened doors for us, or nobody held our hands. So I wanted to prove people wrong. And so this tagline is something that I started saying, but I started by saying, slowly but surely, we shall transform our city into a cycling city. And now I can confidently say, slowly but surely, we have transformed our city into a cycling city. There's so many cycling groups that have now popped up, to the point where I am confident that if I walk away from the work that I've been doing, there's no slowing cycling down, and our city is reaping the benefits of the advocacy work that myself and several other people have been doing. And I just want to point out that the gentleman that you see on the photo in the frame with me is actually audio impaired. He cannot speak, and he uses sign language to communicate. So as a cyclist, he feels having a community of people riding bicycles has made it safer for him to cycle, but also brought some joy into his life, because it's very difficult to be a deaf or a mute cyclist in Nairobi, because you use your mouth a lot to communicate to other road users. This tagline makes me so happy, and cycling for better cities also makes me so happy, because that's exactly what we are doing. We are not just telling people ride bicycles as a mode of transport for the sake of riding a bicycle, but telling people that we're actually changing the way our city is being designed by virtue of us just doing something as simple as riding a bicycle. Having old people in, let's say, over 60 riding bicycles with young people from different economic backgrounds riding bicycles together. We are changing the fabric of the city. We are showing people that it's possible to have communities in cities. And that's something that most cities grapple with, because it's easy to isolate yourself or to stick to people within your own economic or social background. But we need to break that divide, because we need to come together. And I've found bicycles to be the easiest way to bring people together.
Yeah, yeah. And kind of scroll through a couple of photos here, with the group out riding. How big is Nairobi? What sort of a scale of a city are we talking about here?
So Nairobi, let me see. Nairobi has changed over time. The colonial city is no longer the city we have today is not like the colonial city. Um, I don't remember offhand how big the city is, but what happened in 2010, we had the peripheral towns that were now engulfed in the city. So there's Nairobi City, and then we have Nairobi County, and much of our activity is beyond the city boundaries. We have rides that go up up to the surrounding counties, and the work that the cyclists who even come to Critical Mass sometimes come from the neighboring counties. So I don't have that number off the top of my head, but
we can see a little bit on the scale here from the photos that we're seeing. Is we can see, at least some of the streets are incredibly car dominated. In other words, there's a reason why critical mass is necessary and needed, and the advocacy is needed. And we can see, the groups coming together and riding through that environment. And you obviously have plugged yourself into this international world of bike advocacy and advocacy for more people-oriented places and really creating places that can be vibrant and supporting of all ages and abilities, just like you mentioned with the gentleman, that is mute. So it's like, it's incredibly important to understand the context of why this is so necessary.
Yes, absolutely. I want to talk about this photo just for a second. I have a very serious face. I have a very serious face in this photo, and it's because I am actually working as a marshal. And what we've done different, how our critical mass is different from other critical masses is we have marshals and sometimes security, and that's because our roads are not the safest. We have very aggressive road users. Our infrastructure is also not very accommodating to cyclists. We have to have, I had a team of brave soldiers who helped me control traffic. And, it's us putting our lives on the line for other people to enjoy this activity. And what it has done, it has also other people seeing us that confident instilled this sense of safety in them. And a lot of people started coming up and forcefully advocating for their right to be on the street. So now cyclists are not just being pushed over or pushed out of the streets. Now they know they belong on the street and they have a right. They can confidently stay on the road. As long as there's no cycling lane provided, that road is theirs. And in this photo, we have a marshal protecting a child or riding next to a child. And again, it's mostly because our roads are not designed with cyclists in mind. So this child being out there by themselves, it'll be like a suicide mission. But the fact that we have a confident cyclist next to them gives them the confidence to ride, and also shows motorists that there is some order in what we are doing, or there is order in what we are doing. So it makes it difficult for them to interfere with our cycling, with our bike rides.
Yeah. And there's the pink. Here we're joking about that because you said that your favorite color is pink, and there you are. As we say, as the saying goes, pretty in pink.
Yes, and my pink is actually very intentional. I wanted people to know that I am a female riding a bicycle, and also not for motorists to know that I am a female riding a bicycle, but also cyclists to know that I am a female leading the movement. Because cycling is a male-dominated field, and a lot of women struggle to find footing, but also their place in cycling. So when other women see this woman in pink, colorful, always, my helmet is pink, my handlebars are pink, they feel like they are welcome in this activity. At the beginning, when we were back in 2016, 17, 18, and we noticed that very few women were riding bicycles or starting to ride bicycles. And that's when I decided to make that shift. I started being more colorful, more. Sometimes I ride in dresses or skirts just to make women feel like they are welcome and they can do it. They can ride bicycles in whichever attire they feel most comfortable. And it has worked.
Yeah, yeah. That's fantastic. And that's what I meant by, I know that you're sort of in tune and engaged with some of the network of powerful women who are advocating right now in this world of active mobility and people-friendly cities in all ages and abilities environments. So that's fantastic. Now, earlier you had alluded to the fact, and you spoke in past tense, that you have moved on. So bring us up to speed.
Yes, it was time. 10 years leading this lovely movement. I think it was time for me to hand over the mantle to somebody else. And yeah, so I wanted to give other people a chance to take this movement to whichever direction they could take it. I cannot be the only voice or the only champion. I also wanted to do other things beyond cycling advocacy. I know my cycling community will not be very excited about me saying that, but I'm an urban planner. I am a livable cities advocate. I want to advocate for other things beyond cycling. I'm very passionate about pedestrians, particularly children, and I want to use my voice to advocate for safe streets for pedestrians and other vulnerable road users, but also generally just advocate for cities that are that would allow everyone to thrive, not just cyclists. So back in January, I made the bold move to start something else, which I will share soon, but it's still a nonprofit organization, but one that allows me to do a broader advocacy.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And one of the things that I try to emphasize here on the Active Towns channel too is it's not about making our cities to be quote unquote bike friendly as much as it is leveraging what the bicycle can do to make the city a more livable place in general. And so it's one component of the other things that you were just mentioning, including, how easy is it for somebody to be able to walk to meaningful destinations and be able to have really people-friendly places and streets and really trying to, improve and enhance the overall livability of these places that, especially in some of the images that we saw, have become so car-dominated and almost hostile and violent in nature. And so transforming that for being not so much about what we're trying to do to enable cyclists, but what we're trying to do to make the overall community more welcoming for all ages and all abilities.
Yes, I completely agree. And I think even beyond livability, something that upset me a few years back was learning that in a city like Nairobi, where we have so much sunlight, we have children. There's a rise in children having rickets. How can we have rickets in Nairobi? And that's because children are not outside walking, cycling, or playing. We don't have safe streets for children to do what children should be doing. It's because they're in houses, parking lots, they're in school, and the schools are shaded or don't have playgrounds. And it really hurt my feelings. I'm a mom to two small kids, and I have this burning desire to make my city better for my kids. So by the time they're adults, they can do anything they want on the streets, well, within the confines of the law.
Yeah. Yeah. And we see a photo here that really leans into that of this is really about trying to make our communities more welcoming and open to childhood independence and being able to have kids be able to get to their meaningful destinations, whether that's to school or down the block to play with a friend, etc.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, children, in my opinion, should be allowed to be children. And the easiest way for us to plant a seed of independence is through walking. If they can't get to their friend's house, they will stay in the house and they will not know what it feels like to be free. The photo that you're sharing is one of my best photos, and it's a photo we took from one of the kids cycling events that I started. I called it Totomas, which is a Swahili word for child. So instead of critical mass, which is the global term for cycling, the kids critical mass, I changed it to Totomas. And we've so far we've done around 7 or 6 Totomas rides, and every ride we've had new children together with their parents or caregivers. And the thing that I love most about having children on the street is the impact it has on other road users and just how much love and attention they get. It's so impactful that we even have the traffic police show up and give the children VIP escort. We don't even need to do anything. They call and ask, when are you going to have the ride? I'm bringing my child. And that's not something we were able to get with the bigger critical mass, which has over 500 cyclists. But these little children create a bigger impact and have a bigger ripple effect than adults riding bicycles in the community, but also in the household, because we've seen that children whose parents don't know how to ride bicycles are challenged. Now they want to ride bicycles. And when parents learn to ride bicycles, their neighbors see them having fun with their children and they want to learn how to ride bicycles. So I've told the incoming director that this is the winning ticket for our cities. People think adults are resilient, they can handle anything. But when people see young children on striders or tricycles navigating streets in Nairobi, motorists slow down, all the chaos just comes down, and there are smiles on people's faces. It makes me so happy.
Yeah, yeah. So one of the things that I love to see when I see these types of programs, these are what I call the software activity assets. These are the things that are happening that are programming in nature. They're enhancing awareness of issues and enhancing awareness of the joy of getting out and being in one city, being able to get out on a bike and be able to walk to school. These are the types of programs that help to engage the community and enhance awareness of the overall community. The hardware activity assets becomes the built environment, the stuff that we actually start realizing that we need to transform the built environment to support especially kids, to be able to walk and bike to school safely. Are you starting to see that also transforming in Nairobi? Is the built environment starting to nudge in that direction? Obviously, we look to the world best, infrastructure in the Netherlands and elsewhere. Do you get the sense that momentum is now building, that the community wants to see safer places for people to be able to walk and bike?
Absolutely. And I can say that with confidence because the city, I think after a lot of the advocacy work that we've, not just critical mass, but a lot of advocacy that has been done the past few years, has now started building more footpaths or sidewalks and bike lanes. They're still struggling on the bike lanes part, but I will give them credit for incorporating footpaths on different roads in the city. And there's now a lot of push for the road agencies and the city to design better and connected walking and cycling infrastructure. In the past, we've had cycling lanes that start from nowhere and end nowhere, so they're not really usable, or footpaths that are just in the city center. Most people in Nairobi don't live in the city center, so they don't get to enjoy that infrastructure. But now, I would say the city is doing something, and they also have we have a non-motorized transport policy in Nairobi, which was adopted in 2015, but walking infrastructure never had a budget line, so there was no funding there was no funding attached to what they had proposed in the policy. But now the city made some changes, and indeed there is some money going towards walking. Again, cycling, we're still working on it. And there's something that I wanted to mention. Back in when I started doing this kind of advocacy, I used to hear the argument that we are not road agencies and the city cannot build bike lanes because we don't have cyclists in Nairobi. And I always argued that we have cyclists, you just don't see them. So with the work that we've done, we've now made cyclists more visible. Nobody can say they cannot see at least 20 or 30 cyclists in the city every single day. We now have a lot more people commuting on bicycles, and it will only push the city and the road agencies to start catering to those new road users. I mean, they're not new, they've always been there, they've just not been visible to their naked eye. And I also argued with the road agencies about how they collect mobility data or transport data or how they conduct research. And it's always limited to whatever data they can collect on vehicular traffic or vehicles, motorized traffic. And now we are pushing for them to also collect data on other road users. They need to know how many pedestrians are walking on that stretch of road that they want to build, they want to expand the carriageway for cars. They need to know how many cyclists are using the road. We can't continue doing the same thing and expecting different results.
Yeah. Now, earlier you had mentioned that you love wearing pink out there, and you love sending that message, that feminine side of yes, women do ride bikes, and I love this little photo that you sent on. This is a great graphic. Tell us about this, what this was all about. This was back in November of 2024.
Yes. Oh, this was a fantastic event. So under Critical Mass, I came up with an initiative called Kenya Cycling Women. And this one is for all female cyclists in Kenya, not just Nairobi. And we created a WhatsApp group for the female cyclists, and it's the most vibrant and the most enjoyable WhatsApp group to be in. And it's only for female cyclists. So this ride that you're seeing here is, I think it was the fourth ride. Previously, we had a pink ride, a red ride, white ride, white ride. We did several events. But last November, we partnered with Women Mobilize Women, which is a branch of GIZ. And we wanted to showcase that, it's okay to be a woman on a bicycle. And we wanted women to showcase it in whichever way they felt comfortable. So we decided on skirts, and a lot of female cyclists came with skirts, and it was a lot of fun. And creating this poster was also so much fun. I used AI to design this poster.
Very cool. Very cool. Is there anything that we haven't covered yet that you want to make sure that we address for the audience about either, the past work that you've done, or what you, without teasing out exactly what you're doing, because I know you haven't announced it yet, or what you feel that, what are you going to be doing in the future in terms of like what you want to do in terms of the passions?
Well, what do I want to do in the future, or currently doing, and it will continue on, is from the experience that I've had the past decade. I've learned that a lot of policymakers do not actually know how to develop good policies. I will soon be a graduate or an alumni at the London School of Economics, where I was studying executive masters in cities. And from there, I learned a lot about cities, how to design good cities, how to come up with actionable strategies for cities, and develop good policies. So that's what I want to do. I want to help cities come up with good policies that they can actually implement within whichever budget they have. In Africa, we have, and not just Africa, but in most cities across the world, cities do not know how to incorporate the needs or the desires of their diverse stakeholders and also budget for those needs accordingly. So my future looks like that kind of work, where I will be working with different organizations to support cities either in Africa or globally to chart sustainable futures forward.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I suspect that we'll see more of this type of thing for you, speaking internationally as well.
I hope so. This was in Germany, Hamburg, where we were signing the charter for Hamburg, the Hamburg Sustainability Charter, and we were leaders from all over the world. And I was absolutely honored to be considered so highly to sit amongst some of the top global leaders in transport and mobility. And that's now the direction I would like to go, to continue advocating for better cities, not just locally, but globally.
Yeah, yeah. And if I remember correctly, out on LinkedIn, you were identified and selected as part of like an upcoming leadership group. Is that correct?
Yes, yes, yes. Well, I'm waiting for my visa, but
Okay.
I should be in I should be in London in end of this month. I'll be together with several other thought leaders, hoping to develop some strategies for the UN and other cities globally. I call the UN the city because it operates like a city. So the workshop that I'm hoping to go to in London is a multi-stakeholder workshop towards the UN Decade of Sustainable Transport, and it will be supported by SLOCAT. And fun fact about SLOCAT, when I was just starting in my transportation journey, SLOCAT picked up on the work that I was doing, and that was in 2020. Remember, it was COVID 2019, and I was awarded a young leader in sustainable transport. So yeah, so that's what I'll be doing in later this month.
Fantastic. I also see here too out on LinkedIn that you've been selected to join the LSE International Development Review and the editorial team. You'll be part of that powerful group right there. What's this all about?
So this is me trying to be an academic. I love reading. I love doing research. I love understanding what is happening across the globe. And this role gives me that opportunity to review papers, research papers, or opinion pieces from academics or authors from all over the world. It's under the London School of Economics, which I'll soon be an alumni, which I'm very proud now to do something that wonderful institution that opened my eyes to things that I never knew, a lot of things that I didn't know. So this year we'll have 4 issues. There's a main issue, but the one that I will be leading is an issue on cities.
Fabulous. LSE, London School of Economics. Got it.
Yes, yes. And fun fact, it was voted as the best university in social science in the whole world.
Woo! Well, congratulations. That's fantastic. That you have had that opportunity. I do want to go back to some of the wonderful initiatives that you've been involved with there on the ground with the critical mass, and it kind of brings to mind when we were talking about how the city being able to see and appreciate that, yes, there were people out riding bikes. Yes, there are people who want to walk and bike to their meaningful destinations. It brings to mind the fact that that's part of the origins of what critical mass was all about. It's like coming out in a critical mass to indicate, to send a clear message to the city leaders that no, people do want to be able to get to meaningful destinations under their own power by walking and biking. And so it helps to reinforce, and these programs help to reinforce that, when you see, this image of, the kids that are out here, there is a need. There's a need for that transformation of public space into becoming a more walkable and bikeable place, a transformation of the actual built environment. The other thing that kind of goes along with this is it's not just enough to like pull together the fun events, that happen when you come together as a group and 500 people can go out or 50 people or whatever. It's also what you can do to help, support people in making this a part of their life. And I think that's where the other types of training that you all have been involved with, such as, Learn to Ride and other, programs out there of like how to fix a flat tire, those sorts of things, because then you're empowering people at the individual level to feel like this can be part of their lives, and they have that confidence that, oh, now I know how to ride, now I know how to fix a flat, and it empowers them to feel that self-efficacy that they can do this.
Mm-hmm. That's completely true. So what we wanted to do with the critical mass was to make it a part of our culture, but also make people independent in a way. We want people to fall in love with cycling and then start becoming cyclists, but also once you become a cyclist, you can continue being a cyclist. So we have one of our steps to getting people there is training people. Like I mentioned previously, we have a lot of mothers, a lot of moms and dads who are now asking asking if they could if they could be taught how to ride bicycles. And what we realized was there are a lot of people who never had access to bicycles, a lot of millennials who never had access to bicycles because of many reasons, but the main reason is they just didn't have bicycles, or the neighbors didn't have bicycles, so they didn't have the privilege to ride bicycles. So this program is one amongst the different training programs that we have. So this specific one, we partnered with an e-bike company where we are teaching people about e-bikes. They're now starting to come into Kenya. Not many people have used, touched, or even seen an electric bicycle. So this program allows them to experience what it feels like to use, to operate, to ride the bicycle. And this, I wanted to also talk about something, the mentality that we as urban planners and a lot of policymakers have about when it comes to infrastructure. And the argument we've always had is just build it and they will come. But yes, sometimes that's the case. You can build it and people will come. But if people don't know that they are welcome, they will not show up. If people don't know that they belong on that space, they will not show up, or they will use it in different ways. So we did the reverse. We wanted people to fall in love with cycling so that if infrastructure comes, they know how to defend, protect, and appreciate that infrastructure. We have a lot of, in places that we have footpaths and even bike lanes currently, we have a lot of misuse of that infrastructure. And that's because people don't feel like they own it. They don't feel like it's there. They don't know if they should defend it, they should occupy it. So we are making people have that sense of belonging and ownership, so that when that infrastructure comes and somebody wants to put up a shop on the bike lane, they will be quick to tell them that's not allowed. And there's another phrase that I like using, putting the cart before the horse or the horse before the cart. It's hard to tell with our cities. We don't know if we are the horse or we are the cart.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that too, because it's a really good point about the build it and they will come mentality. And I like to say that, you have to do both. You have to do the hardware and the software, and they have to work together. And different cities are at different stages in their evolution of, becoming a more livable place. And a part of that is sometimes it's the demands of the people, because they're coming together en masse and they're saying and demanding it and saying, we want this. And so then you're getting that. So the way I like to look at it is, the community comes up and really communicates to the city that, hey, this is what we want. We want more walkable and bikeable places here. And the city, starts building it But that's not enough. You still have to activate it. And as you mentioned, you have to increase awareness and education and all of that. So it's not as simple as build a bike lane and then, sit back and look at it and see, I told you nobody's riding there. It's like, no, you can't do that. It's got to be both. So yeah, it's got to be that really supportive environment of education and awareness and engagement. And then that creates that positive flywheel effect of the more people who are using this, the more people who feel empowered to it. And it just gets better and better and better, and more folks moving forward. Now, you sent over a few photos that I want to make sure that we address here, and walk us through what we're looking at here.
Oh, so this is something that we did back in 2024. Last year we had a lot of rain, lots of floods in Nairobi. And I remember when it started flooding, I was actually in London in class and I was miserable. At one point I had to tell my professor, I'm struggling to concentrate because people are suffering back at home. And while I was in class, I thought of how can I help? What is it that what can I do to help my community? And so this idea came to mind. I thought about working with the cycling community to support those who are adversely affected. And so I reached out to different bike shops in Nairobi. I put out a call asking if anyone with a bike shop or would like their bike shop to be a pickup and a drop-off point. And a lot of bike shops volunteered. This is not even the full list. And when I came back, which was almost, I think, 2 days later, I hit the ground running. So the previous photo that you showed was one of the areas that were flooded but also demolished. So the government came back, the city came back and flattened those houses. Granted, they were on riparian land, but I think the timing was just a bit harsh. So we mobilized the donations, collected funds, and we collected enough donation to help so many families, so much that we had enough to share with the communities outside of Nairobi. I feel like this is one of the proudest moments that I have ever. I could not believe that we had so many donations, and it wasn't just cyclists donating; it was entire Nairobi, because people have friends, people have families who want to help, but they just didn't know how to help. There's even someone who offered their helicopter. I didn't even know someone could do that, but they offered their helicopter as for evacuation. Yeah, it was a good strategy, but it was also very emotional. It was very painful seeing all those people suffering. But I was really proud of the cycling community and how they took this on, and they got their neighbors and their friends and whoever to donate.
Yeah, yeah. So after nearly 10 years, you were at the helm of doing this. What advice would you have for other communities and other advocates that want to do something, get something going in their community and make a difference in creating a more livable community?
Well, let me start with anyone who wants to be an advocate. You know, this kind of work is not easy. The truth is it's very tiresome, it's very exhausting, it's also very isolating. There are days where you want to quit, but it's important to know why you're doing what you're doing. For me, I always felt like what I'm doing is bigger than me and it needed to be done. And if I didn't do it, why would I expect somebody else to do it? I had a vision of what I wanted with this movement, and I made a pact with myself that I will do it and I will stick to it no matter what. I did it because it was important for me and for my city. So know your why, and also surround yourself with people who will support your vision. Doing crazy things like this, me wearing this long dress, you need a support system to encourage you and tell you, I know you look crazy, but it makes sense because somebody will see the humor in this and want to join. So for anyone who's looking at being an advocate for livable cities, know your why, have a support system, and stay consistent. Consistency is the most crucial part of advocacy. If you started today, you stop, and then you come back 3 months later, people will forget that you were doing something. So back when I took over, I made a decision that Critical Mass will be every last Saturday of every month, whether it's raining, whether it's sunny, whatever whatever is happening out there. Critical Mass will happen every last Saturday of every month. That said, there are days when it rained heavily and we had to stop, or we couldn't have rides, or we had political issues, or that there are political things going on. We couldn't have the rides. But if there were no um, external factors that were beyond our control, we had a ride. I don't even know how many rides we've had, but minus the COVID years, we've had many rides.
Yeah, yeah. Now, what message would you have for city leaders and politicians?
For politicians, it's hard to tell because politicians are driven by different things. There are politicians who are driven by the desire to change their country, and there are some who are driven by personal interest. But I would say to anyone who is in leadership or who has the mighty power of the pen, do the right thing. Yes, it's easy to, close your eyes and just assume things will work out or might not work out, but you have the mighty power of the pen. It's important for you to leave a legacy that even your children will be proud of. The photo that you're seeing is one of the MPs who was kind enough to, after lots of trying, we finally found a politician who was willing to sponsor a bill that we drafted to amend a law in Kenya. We wanted walking and cycling infrastructure to be embedded in law because right now it's neither here nor there. It's easy for road agency to omit them from designs because it is not mandated. They can just do whatever they want. So we wanted to change the law so that if pedestrians are demanding for a footpath, cyclists are demanding for bike lanes, it is their legal right to get that vital infrastructure. Yeah. So for politicians, it's important to wear the shoes of other vulnerable road users.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's something I try to emphasize a lot here on the channel is that, yes, we need to come together as a group, as a community, and en masse, and then we need to send that message to our leaders, our city leaders, that this is important to us. Because if we just kind of assume that somebody else is going to send that message to them, they may not ever hear that message. Maybe the only message that they're hearing is from the car driving public. And certainly when changes start happening to the environment, that's who they hear from, are people who don't want to see a change in the status quo of drive everywhere for everything. So yeah, it's very, very important for us to have both the bottom up as well as the top down. And the only way the top can know is they need to hear it from us.
Absolutely. I do agree. It's time for livable cities champions, not necessarily to be lobbyists, but to also lobby for these things. We cannot just take the soft approach all the time and expect change to happen. We have to speak to politicians. At the end of the day, they're the ones making the decisions. We cannot just write reports and expect the reports will get to the desks of politicians. We have to engage them. We have to speak to them. We have to knock on those doors. And hopefully something positive will happen.
Yeah, I hear you. Are there any last things that you want to share with the audience before we part ways, and then we must schedule an encore presentation at some point when you're in your new role?
Yes, this has been good. I usually bite my tongue when I have interviews, but this has been good. Any parting shots from me? Honestly, I would say I think everyone should be an advocate for livable cities, including children. And personally, that's something that I'm trying to do with my children. I'm teaching my children about walking and cycling and even what advocacy looks like, but for a young child. So much that I have written, or I am in the process of writing, a children's book, and it will be based on this child who wants to walk to school but is unable to walk to school because the roads are unsafe. And she keeps prodding the mom, asking the mother if she could walk to school. Eventually, the mom petitions and forces the mayor or the city to build footpaths and bike lanes, and then the child is now ready to walk to school. I think all of us should speak to our children about what kind of a city they would like to live in. And slowly and surely we'll have cities that are enjoyable to live in.
I love it. I love it. So when you get that book done, that's what we need to do the next time. We'll profile your book. Yay. Again, thank you so very much for joining me on the Active Towns podcast. This was so much fun.
Thank you for having me. I look forward to the next one.
Hey, thank you all so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, please, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and share it with a friend. And if you haven't done so already, be honored to have you subscribe to the channel. Just click on the subscription button down below and be sure to ring that notifications bell. And if you're enjoying this content here on the Active Towns channel, please consider supporting my efforts. It's easy to do. Just navigate over to activetowns.org, click on the support tab at the top of the page, and there's several different options, including making a donation to the nonprofit. You can buy me a coffee as well as becoming a patron. Patreon supporters do get early and ad-free access to all my video content, and every little bit helps to keep this channel going, so I appreciate your support. And thank you so much for tuning in here today. And until next time, this is John signing off by wishing you much activity, health, and happiness. Cheers. And again, just want to send a huge thank you to all my Active Towns ambassadors supporting the channel financially via YouTube memberships, YouTube super thanks, as well as making contributions to the nonprofit and joining my Patreon. Every little bit adds up and is very much appreciated. Thank you all so much.